the young, and the restless spoilers. Daniel Romalotti had always been a protective father, especially when it came to his daughter, Lucy. He had done everything in his power to keep her safe, to shield her from the chaos that often swirled around their lives. So when he found out that Sharon Newman was targeting Lucy, a cold rage burned inside him. How could Sharon, someone who once called herself a friend, dare to threaten his daughter so ruthlessly? Sharon, in her current state of mental instability, had crossed a line that Daniel wasn't going to let her cross again. He had warned her multiple times, told her to stay far away from his family, to never even think about coming near Lucy. But Sharon didn't care about his warnings or his threats. She had her own agenda, and no one was going to stop her from achieving it. For Sharon, Lucy wasn't just a child, she was an obstacle in Sharon's twisted plan. Sharon wasn't the same woman Daniel had once known, she had become someone dangerous, someone willing to do anything to get what she wanted. Daniel's warnings meant nothing to her. In Sharon's mind, she had already decided that Lucy was a pawn in her larger game. And no amount of pleading or threats from Daniel was going to change that. The confrontation came to a head one night, when Sharon cornered Lucy. Her intentions were clear, she wanted to harm Lucy, to strike out at Daniel through his daughter. But Daniel had anticipated Sharon's move. He had been watching, waiting, and when he saw Sharon approaching his daughter, he sprang into action. "Stay away from my daughter, Sharon," Daniel shouted as he rushed towards them, fury in his voice. Sharon didn't flinch. She had become numb to threats, blinded by her own delusions. All she cared about was achieving her goal, whatever it was. She stepped closer to Lucy, her eyes cold and calculating. Daniel wasn't going to let her get any closer. He lunged at Sharon, pulling her away from Lucy and into a fierce struggle. He wrapped his arms around her, trying to restrain her, but Sharon fought back with surprising strength. They wrestled, their bodies locked in a violent struggle, both of them fueled by their own desperate need to win. As they fought, Daniel realized something was horribly wrong. Sharon had a gun. He hadn't seen it before, but now, in the midst of their struggle, he felt the cold metal against his skin. Panic surged through him. Why would Sharon have a gun? Was she really willing to use it against Lucy, a defenseless child? Or had she brought it for him? In the chaos of their fight, the gun went off. The deafening sound of the shot echoed through the room. Daniel felt a sudden, searing pain in his abdomen. The bullet had hit him, and for a moment, he couldn't process what had just happened. The pain was overwhelming, radiating through his body, and he instinctively clutched his stomach, his hands already slick with blood. Sharon, wide-eyed and terrified by what had just happened, stumbled backward. She hadn't meant for the gun to go off, not like this. The sight of Daniel, crumpled in pain, bleeding on the floor, sent a wave of panic crashing over her. This wasn't part of the plan. She hadn't intended to shoot him, at least, that's what she told herself. But now, it was too late. The damage had been done, and Sharon, overwhelmed by fear and guilt, did the only thing she could think of: she ran. She fled the scene, abandoning Daniel and Lucy without a second thought, desperate to escape the consequences of her actions. Sharon didn't care about the trail of destruction she had left behind, her only focus was on saving herself. Daniel lay on the floor, gasping for breath, his mind racing as the reality of what had just happened sank in. He had been shot, and the blood loss was already making him feel weak and dizzy. He didn't know how long he could hold on, but his thoughts were with Lucy. He had to protect her, no matter what. "Lucy, call for help," he gasped, his voice barely a whisper. Lucy, frozen in shock, quickly snapped into action, grabbing her phone and calling for an ambulance. The minutes dragged on like hours, and Daniel could feel himself slipping, the pain becoming more unbearable with each passing second. When the paramedics finally arrived, Daniel was barely conscious, his vision blurring as the blood continued to pour from his wound. The paramedics worked quickly, doing everything they could to stabilize him and get him to the hospital before it was too late. But the injury was serious, and Daniel's life hung in the balance. As they rushed him to the emergency room, one thought kept running through Daniel's mind: why did Sharon have a gun? What had she been planning? Had she really been willing to shoot his daughter, or had the gun been meant for him all along? None of it made sense, and Daniel could only hope that he would live long enough to find out.